Today's lesson, I'm going to teach you 3 different ways to multiply binomials. Maybe one of the more important things that you'll do in Math 1 is really to learn how to multiply binomials together. So the first method is a very traditional method. It's called FOIL. If you already know what you're doing, you may have been taught this method. It was the only method I was taught growing up, but it's actually my least favorite method now. The FOIL is an acronym. It stands for the different words that we're going to use to do this. But before we jump in, what I want you to see is what does it mean to multiply binomials? Well, you can see right here in the top right-hand corner, we have a binomial, right, x minus 3, times a binomial x plus 8. 2 binomials that are being multiplied together. So you got to be careful. You can't just do x's with x's or 3 and 8. You can't just combine those. There's a process behind it. So the first one is FOIL, F-O-I-L, and the F stands for first. Okay, so you could write this in, first. So first means you're going to multiply the 2 first terms together. And I'm going to kind of do this simultaneously down here at the bottom. So x and x are my first terms. So x times x gives me x squared, right? If you want to, you can write it up here as well. X times x gives you x squared. Now the O stands for outer, right? Outer. I can never remember if it's 2 T's. I believe it's just one. Outer. Who are my outer terms? And when we say outer, what we mean are the ones on the outside here, the x and the 8, right? They're not the ones in the middle of the question. They're the ones on the outside of the question. So in this case, is x times 8. We multiply those together. This gives me 8x. So that goes in the next blank, 8x. The I, you might be able to guess now, since that was outer, this is going to be inner, right? My inner terms, which would be negative 3 and x. So negative 3 times x, that's just negative 3x. No surprise there. And then last, ironically so, L stands for last. So you take the last term in each binomial, negative 3, positive 8. So the negative 3 times the positive 8, those multiply together gives you negative 24. So negative 24 there. So you'll notice that I have 3 more blanks at the bottom simply because the x squared doesn't change. He doesn't have any like terms. The negative 24 doesn't change because he doesn't have any like terms either. But the 2 terms in the middle are like terms, 8x minus 3x. Those combine to give me 5x. So that's actually my answer, x squared plus 5x minus 24. That would be the answer to that question right there. So if you like that, that's great. If you don't worry. I have 2 more methods you could use. Some people draw these arrows, so first, outer, inner, last. If you like that, you can definitely do it. So feel free, if that's your preferred method, knock yourself out. The next method is called the box method. Students who are a bit more visual tend to like the box method. I want you to write the question again right here. I believe it was x minus 3. Yeah, x minus 3. X minus 3 times x plus 8. So what we do is we take the first binomial and we write it in the 2 columns. So x in the first column and negative 3 in the second column. And then you take the second binomial and you write it in the 2 rows. Now notice I put the plus sign in front of the 8, not between the x and the 8. That's important. And then what the box method does is it multiplies everything in the column times what's in the row. So you can see there that you do x, right? It's a red, let me get the pencil. It's a red x times a green x, right? The red x times the green x actually gives us x squared. Now you don't have to bother writing that x times x every single time. I'm just writing it for this example. Again, column, negative 3 times row, right, gives me negative 3 times x, which is just negative 3x. Okay? And then column and row again, but this time it's column x times row 8, right? All the way down here. So we're still multiplying row times column, but you're going now to the second row. So in this case, it's still red x times green 8, right? Which then again is just 8x. And then all the way over to the last column and row, right? Negative 3, highlighter, negative 3 times positive 8, right? So it's all about just matching up row with column, column with row, column with row, column with row. So negative 3 times positive 8. And again, once you get good at this, you won't bother doing the little stuff. You'll just probably get those numbers in the middle. Now, once you've got this, you need to recognize that you're going to have often, not always, but very, very often, you're going to have like terms. In this case, it's this 8x and this negative 3. I like to call that the peanut, right? You get those two like terms, and those can be combined, right? The first like term can't. The first term is just x squared. That guy is done. The last term, again, doesn't change. That one's the same as well. But my like term in the middle gives me 8x minus 3x, 5x. And you should be saying, well, isn't that what we got last time? Yes, it is what we got last time. That's the point, right? It's a different method, but you're going to get the same answer. Last but not least, double distribution. I never even heard of this when I was your age, but it's now my favorite. Double distribution takes the same question, and we just distribute twice. So what we do is you take the very first binomial, this binomial right here, and in a sense, you're going to break it into its two parts. The first part is x, so that goes here alone in front of a set of parentheses, right? And then you take the negative 3 alone, and you put it in front of a set of parentheses, okay? So you've essentially just taken that first binomial and split it to x and negative 3. And then now you take the x plus 8 and you keep it together, but it's double distribution, so you write it twice because you're going to distribute double time, right? And now it's just distribution that you've been doing since middle school. Distribute x to the x and x to the 8, you get x squared plus 8x. Distribute the negative 3, you get negative 3x minus 24. You have some like terms as we've had the last both times. So we end up here with x squared plus 5x minus 24. Again, same answer, 3 different options for how you want to do it. Okay, so again, double distribution, you split the x and the negative 3. Then you keep the x plus 8 twice. Distribute, combine. Box method, you line up rows and columns, multiply every column times every row, combine like terms, and then FOIL first, outer, inner, last, combine like terms as necessary. So what I want you to do is just practice. Here's a quick second to practice. I'm going to come back in the next video with the answers on the screen, and you can see if you got them right or wrong. So really try your best at this because I want to make sure you're good.